am Fernanda Paiva, Hitchhiking Stars, bringing you astrological insights, especially in connection to the lunations, the full moons and the new moons, so you can grow stronger and more beautiful in your process. So what we're going to be looking at today, what we're going to be focusing on, is the new moon. So there's a new moon in Taurus on the 19th of May. So there's a coming new moon here in Taurus in this month of May that has a very strong emphasis in the sign of Taurus, as I mentioned before. So all things Taurian are very much under the spotlight. And I think this new moon is kind of the cherry on the cake, of like, right, there's a new beginning. So it's really important that you find where is Taurus in your chart. If you have any planets in Taurus or any of the fixed signs, and that would be Scorpio, Leo, Aquarius, or Taurus itself, and that's where you feel a stronger influence from this strongly flavored Taurian lessons that we're sort of dealing with in the month of May in general, but also with this new moon as well. So the new moon will be happening at 28 degrees Taurus, so 28 degrees 26 minutes of arc, and the Sabian symbol, as usual, like I always love to look at that. The Sabian symbol for this new moon is two cobblers working side by side at a table. So very interesting. I mean, I love the Sabian symbols because they bring these odd images for us to think about. I also, as per, have the chart of the new moon right in front of me as well as I'm talking, to share any extra insights that I have here about this. But two cobblers working side by side at a table. I mean, I think the key words here is cooperation. So, picking up from that full moon eclipse, that there was a lot of emphasis about anger issues, separation issues. How can we separate? How can we express our individuality as well in a healthy way, and be aware of our personal values as well. I think this new moon at 28 is the continuation of that process, and the lunar nodes, they are shifting soon from Taurus and Scorpio into Aries, Libra. So then we're gonna have quite a few months emphasizing relationships and the potential balance here between give and take. Who am I when I'm alone? Who am I when I'm with others? That sort of duality, the dual feeling that we have, like how balanced our exchange with others is. And so before shifting into that Libra Aries, there's a lot of lessons that we're having connected to Taurus and Scorpio, which is about possessing, letting go, building something solid as well, and knowing that to build something solid takes time. That is the realm of Saturn, but Taurus understands that very well because it's fixed Earth. There is a sense of patience as well with that sign very strongly. So when this new moon happens again, there is a very strong emphasis in Taurus, and especially because Jupiter will have moved into Taurus as well. So Jupiter will be at 0 degrees 40 minutes of arc in Taurus. So we have Jupiter, North Node, Mercury, Uranus, the Sun, and the Moon. That's quite a lot of Taurus. So again, with this emphasis, I think the big, the key word here, and with the new moon, is always about planting a seed, starting something new, beginning something. Find where 28 degrees Taurus is in your chart so you can know what area of your life more specifically. But in general is this, this new seed that we can put in the ground, and with that, spells for setting intentions as well for the new cycle. So with all of that in Taurus, I think everything will be around the idea of values. How good are you in the material world? How comfortable are you in the material world? Are you comfortable owning nice things? Is your surroundings, are your surroundings beautiful enough for you? Are you, do you value yourself enough as well? Like, do you feel guilty when you buy something nice to yourself? Do you feel undeserving somehow on some level? So all of these different issues can be part of your intention here. And also, with that Jupiter in Taurus, there is a brilliant time for setting intentions to bringing material abundance. If you've been having double feelings and double standards around money as well, for example, which is a subject that's of utter importance in our society and we don't talk about. There's a kind of a taboo side to it, the sort of Scorpio-Taurus axis. And during this new moon, we can definitely set some intentions around that. Are you ready to work on your money mindset? That Jupiter in Taurus will be there in Taurus for a year. That's a great year for you to build something solid in terms of your material life. Increase your material abundance. That's one. And, the more abundant you are materially, the more you can share as well. We can see it from that perspective as well. So Mercury will be quite close to that North Node. And so is Jupiter. So Jupiter is at 0, North Node is at 3 degrees Taurus, and Mercury is at 6 degrees Taurus. So they're very, very close there. They're sort of like forming a sandwich with that North Node. So again, emphasizing it's like our ideas, our thoughts, our worldview, Jupiter, our bigger perspective, Jupiter. So the two of them are like really embroiled with that North Node. Our spiritual growth is very much connected with stability. Are you capable of building a stability in your life? Are you capable of accepting stability? Because sometimes whenever things are stable, we're a bit like, okay, hold on, what's going on? Like, something is going to go wrong because it's too stable. So that's another one there, to think about and to set intentions around as well. The stability, stable structures in our lives. And Saturn is in a particular powerful aspect with Mercury as well. So great time for like setting intentions and writing down. That's Mercury, Saturn, and Mercury in Taurus as well is earthy. So really writing down, but really setting powerful intentions because they can manifest. They can really manifest, Saturn is all about manifesting things in reality as well. Dream big. That's that Saturn in Pisces with that Jupiter in Taurus and the Mercury there as well. So a wonderful new moon for bringing all of these different Taurian subjects there to the forefront. Whatever you feel that you need more in your life, that you feel will be more helpful in your life, if it's about the self-worth, if it's about more harmony in relationships, and that comes the two cobblers working side by side as well, the Sabian symbol, more cooperation in your relationships. Are your relationships usually based on competition, an ego? Or are you able to creating real cooperation and growing together, I mean, a challenging relationship always brings learning, but a cooperative relationship also brings learning, This is something that's interesting to put here in a mixture as well. When we think about this duality of Scorpio and Taurus, like Scorpios are all about the challenge and the drama and that brings me growth because I'm learning something. And especially people with a very strong Pluto in their charts have a tendency to grow through drama and to welcome drama in their lives because it helps with the growth. But you can still grow by walking side by side with somebody, by working side by side at a table like the two cobblers. You can still grow a great deal. And one could argue that you could maybe even grow further because you are cooperating with each other rather than getting into power struggles. So that's an interesting side of this new moon here and of this cycle as well. And with that comes another part, and just before, but there's another part here that's very much connected with what I'm saying here. But this idea of cooperation and working together of the Sabian symbol is also reflected by a mutual reception. You know how I love mutual receptions, and I mention them every time I see them in the charts of the new moons and full moons. Well, during this new moon, there is a mutual reception, so two planets working closely together, even though they're not aspecting each other. And that is Venus in Cancer, the sign of the moon, and Moon in Taurus, the sign of Venus. So you've got a Moon-Venus mutual reception here, which is very cooperative. We've got the two yin planets, so again is emphasizing this side of life. And so we could definitely set some beautiful intentions connected to cooperation, to appreciation, to expressing love, to finding love as well, finding a love that fulfills us, but also valuing and loving ourselves. Self-love is another one very powerful here. And then the second aspect here with this new moon as well, that I see it very, very strongly and is definitely going to be more emphasized in a few days after this new moon as well, is what we call a T-square. So it's when two planets are opposite to each other and there is a third planet forming a 90 degrees to those two oppositions. So it looks like a letter T, and that's what we call a T-square. And that's a great configuration of challenge, reflecting challenge and something, the sense of urgency when we have a T-square as well. It's like being pulled in different directions, and there's something reflected in there. And these T-squares involving Mars. So during, at the moment of that new moon, Mars will be at 29 Cancer. So it will be just before moving into Leo, a few days before moving into Leo. So Mars in Cancer opposite Pluto in Aquarius. So we have Pluto as 0 Aquarius. And they're both forming the 90 degrees, or what we call a square, to Jupiter in Taurus. So a T-square between Mars, Pluto, and Jupiter. Now, one way, to think about T-squares as well, if you have in your chart, if you see, someone else's chart, is that the apex holds the key to sort of bring understanding between the split. An opposition usually reflects a split. So the Mars-Pluto opposition will be talking about power struggles. So there is a split there between Pluto and Mars, and there are two planets connected to willfulness, right? Mars is the god of war, Pluto is the god of the underworld. So something about our power struggles or feeling powerless in relationships or in situations. So there's something about survival skills with the Pluto Mars as well. But the apex is that Jupiter in Taurus. So again, we have that emphasis in Taurus, that emphasis on the North Node in Taurus as well. The emphasis of coming out of power struggles via cooperation, via real cooperation, via generosity as well. Jupiter in Taurus can be very generous, and good at giving gifts to other people and, valuing each other. So if you're in a relationship that's got a lot of power struggles, the month of May will be very powerful to you, potentially, if you take up that these opportunities. If we don't take up, nothing happens. We're just sort of being dragged around. That's how I see astrology. Astrology shows us windows of opportunities, and we can take it or not. We can consciously direct that energy or not. And so these months can be wonderful for learning about cooperation, and especially this new moon is emphasizing this. So amongst power struggles and anger issues, we can, still learn about stability and being generous with each other and being giving as well, and being grounded in our bodies, in our senses, in nature, treating ourselves well, eating well, So all of these things will help us to nourish ourselves so we can be more generous as well in our relationships. Personal care, with all of that Taurus as well. Luxurious care for yourself. So those are things that you can put in your list and, in your spell for intentions. So it depends where you're at in your life and what your needs right now are. But you get the themes here, right? So just take these themes and apply them to the context of your life. Make it unique. All right? Because you are unique. We're all unique in our own ways. So that's it. I'm wishing you a wonderful, beautiful new moon in Taurus, with that mutual reception between the moon and Venus, and Jupiter in Taurus as well. So yeah, I hope you can set some really beautiful intentions and find cooperation in your life. So I'm Fernanda Paiva, Hitchhiking Stars, and I will be talking to you soon.